Oh my God, the ups and downs of week 2. We're 2 weeks into this thing and it's already nuts. Yeah, you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. We're going to talk about it all and more. It is the Audible live week 2 recap. Here we go.
You got a team, here's a word of the wise. You want to dominate your league? Go to Footballguys.
Football, I'm living in a fantasy. Football, got everybody mad at me. Football, cause every game I had to win. Football, I gotta be a champion. Football, I'm living in a fantasy.
Oh, this great game, Bloom. Well, this great game that gives us a bunch of gray hairs. Hey, Jacksonville, Cincinnati. Is Joe Burrow going to be okay? That's the main thing. And is Trevor Lawrence just not great, Bob? 31-27 is the final score. Jacksonville loses. Cincinnati wins. Bengals are 2-0. Jags are 1-1. Trevor Lawrence is yelling or I guess waving off Liam Cohen, right? Isn't that the thing that went viral today? He's waving off his coach. Well, he went 24-42, 271 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 INTs in this contest. It was Parker Washington with 5 for 76, De'Ami Brown with 5 for 57 and a touch, Bashal Tutin with a touchdown there as well. Another one for Travis Etienne, receiving touchdown in addition to 71 yards rushing. Etienne had 18 yards receiving to help his day. And yeah, I mean, they lose and fantasy GMs are wondering what's going on. Jags fans are wondering what's going on with Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I think that from a larger football standpoint, through the first 2 games, and it's early in Liam Cohen's offense. And look, the 2 of them going at it, I mean, Liam Cohen said that he went at it with Baker a few times and you just get it out. So, I mean, I think that's how Liam Cohen is. I know there was a sounds of the game cease where people said, oh, you know, he curses so much that you think your feed is cutting out. So he's not the guy that you saw at the press conference. But Trevor Lawrence seems to be the guy that can't execute consistently, you know, just like glitchy as a quarterback. You never know whenever he's going to execute. And it's created sort of a topsy-turvy fantasy situation with this Jaguars offense. And one thing we can take away from this game, there's a lot, but the Cincinnati defense is bad. It's bad. They gave up over 200 yards, total yards, in the first 1908 of the game. All right. Yeah. Now, if Trevor Lawrence was more consistent, if Trevor Lawrence is more consistent, this is like another 50 burger, like what the Lions did today. Spoiler alert. But you had easy drives, first 3 drives. Trevor Lawrence forced the interception. Well, not really forced it. It was Trey Hendrickson getting pressure, end zone interception. But you also saw Bashal Tutin in this one getting a touchdown on the 3rd drive. We'll come back to him, but getting back to Lawrence, you know, you saw these interceptions, miscommunications. Brian Thomas Jr. getting a lot of targets, not a lot of production. Brian Thomas Jr. having a drop on 4th down, which was vindicated, by the way. You know, the Jags going for it on 4th down, up 3 in the inside of the 10. And the play would have worked if Brian Thomas would have just caught the ball. And then, you know, Jake Browning going down, again, spoiler alert, getting the game-winning touchdown actually vindicated the decision. So with Lawrence, you get the fantasy output, but you don't get it from Thomas or Travis Hunter, who made more impactful plays, good and bad, on defense in this one. You've got it from Parker Washington and De'Ami Brown, who dropped a touchdown, by the way. Travis Etienne looked good again. They established the run with him again. Again, it's Cincinnati. They shut down the Browns last week, but and then Tutin, who is now the clear number 2 back and getting enough touches to have an impact. And what you saw, Cecil, on his touchdown catch was juking someone out of their jock strap, and his outstanding burst and contact balance and the way that on a metric standpoint, he looked like an exceptional back. It's translating. You can see it, but maybe it's just the Bengals defense. So, you know, lots here, as probably every team is going to have ceiling games against this Bengals offense. But like you said, Cecil, you have questions. Oh, and by the way, Houston Texans. Yeah, that's a test. Maybe Trevor Lawrence, we're going to be talking even more about the negative with Lawrence after that game.
Yeah, I think when talking about the Bengals and that side of the ball, Bloom, we have to be like Chris Farley when he did his Matt Foley character and use air quotes. The Bengals defense, I seem to have body odor and people do not like talking to me. And the Bengals defense just sucks.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, it's really bad. And now the Joe Burrow thing, give me the latest we've got there. We'll talk about Jake Browning coming in. He DGAF. Sorry, Joe. Jake Browning's just like, I'm going to throw a bunch of picks. I'm going to keep throwing. I'll throw it up for Jamar Chase, who finishes with 14 for 165 and a touch. T. Higgins, 3 for 56 and a touch. Mitchell Tinsley had the other touchdown here. Of course, with Browning going 2 touchdowns, 3 INTs. Chase Brown, 16 for 47. Browning also had a rushing touchdown here in this effort to win the game. Noah Fant with 3 for 28. But let's talk about the Bengals. And then let's hear anything you got on Joe Burrow. Anything new here?
Well, no, he leaves the game. It's a toe injury, turf toe and torn ligaments, several weeks, tricky timeline. I think what this is Jake Browning, keep this team around 500, and maybe sometime in November, there's a stretch where they have Baltimore, Buffalo, Baltimore, weeks 13 to 15. Let Burrow's toe heal as much as it can. It's not an injury that's going to resolve. Ligaments don't knit themselves back together. You just let it heal, and they have this shotgun offense anyway, so maybe Burrow can play a little better compromised. But the pattern here is getting very disturbing, Cease. Joe Burrow plays a style of football, and the offense sets him up to take hits. And he is such a courageous quarterback that he's going to take those hits. And he just doesn't have the physiology to hold. I mean, what is this? This is 3 serious injuries now we've seen, and so it's just sad. Now, from a fantasy standpoint, Jake Browning comes in, quarterback 2, Superflex, because like you said, Cease, he lets it all hang out. He's like discount Baker Mayfield. And Jamar Chase, maybe he's Randy Moss. Maybe he's Justin Jefferson. Maybe it doesn't even matter who his quarterback is. You saw them really focus on him. But again, it's Jacksonville. Last week they kind of bullied Bryce Young. But we can't really say it. Some of these teams, Cease, even 2 weeks in, we don't really know yet what we're going to get. And Jacksonville's defense, is it a defense? Is it a bad defense? I mean, when Jake Browning was out there, they really had trouble slowing him down. T. Higgins, 2 guys bounce off of T. Higgins. Now, T. Higgins is, he's not Christian Okoye, all right? So, some poor play there. Chase Brown, you saw Jake Browning vulture a touchdown. But look, Chase Brown down, T. Higgins down. Jamar Chase probably down. But then again, this could be like a Mac Jones, Brian Thomas Jr. situation where the backup quarterback just does the simplest thing. Mitchell Tinsley getting the touchdown 2 different times today. That preseason superstar translates. It was Mitchell Tinsley with an amazing touchdown catch here. So the Cincinnati's 2-0. It's so weird. But now they're going to face the team, the Randy Moss, Justin Jefferson team, the Vikings. That's the thing. And, as a Bengals fan, you just kind of would feel like, could we have had a little bit longer to wonder what if, to think about what this year could be? And I think we're going to see Joe Burrow again this year, but he's not going to be healthy, Cease.
Yeah, not going to be healthy. And now Kevin asked in the chat room, how much free agent bucks on Browning?
Well, I mean,
our live waiver wire show, we'll have more for that, but let's give him an early swipe now.
Yeah, well, in a 1 quarterback league, he's not essential. There's a whole bunch of guys, and I think it's Minnesota. They have a terrible stretch coming up. Something like Minnesota, Detroit, Green Bay, all coming up in the next 4 weeks. So no, I'm not really now in a super flex league though. I think he's gonna be somebody that you would mind having as your quarterback 2 or super flex. But again, I think the real heartbreak here, Cease, is that we made it not even 1.5 games in, and yet we're gonna have another season where we talk about how Joe Burrow's hurt, and we're not gonna get to see what the possible if he can get back to the postseason.
Yep. Ask Dan Marino about going to a Super Bowl and losing early in your career and never going back.
Yeah.
Hate to say that's what Joe Burrow seems like it's setting up that way. And the Bengals are bad organization. I want to say trash.
Well, I mean, mom and pop. They're a mom and pop organization. They're a small business in a billionaire cartel. And
in a high rise.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
No.
And it's not working now for Cincinnati. How about them Cowboys? Speaking of billionaire and high rise, there's Jerry. This was his Super Bowl, I guess. Cowboys win in overtime, 40-37 over the Giants. But Russell Wilson, 450 and 3 touchdowns, throwing up a prayer. The moon balls, of course. to Malik Neighbors. They worked 9 for 167, 2 touchdowns. Wan'Dale Robinson, 8 for 142 and a touchdown. And then Darius Slayton, a couple catches for 61 yards. Tyrone Tracy with 4 for 36 as a receiver. And then Tracy, 5 for 15 on the ground because it's Cam Scatterboo, 11 for 45 and a rushing touchdown, reaching out, stretching out. They even brought Jackson Dart in for a play, which was interesting. But the Giants put up a fight and fall short. And boy, Russell Wilson, when it clicks, huh?
Yeah. I mean, memorable stuff here. Potentially the game of the year. We may look back and say this was the best regular season game of the year. Whatever, best is such a nebulous word, but you get it. And look, Cecil, I think we've talked about one game so far, and
yeah,
and we're 10 minutes in. But that was the kind of week it was. I hope you're ready for friends out there with us live. Thank you, by the way. Let me take a moment out to say on our live show that you take the time of your very precious life and just choose to spend it with us while there's a football game on. Is pretty special, and we want to make that time worth it to you. And talk about these games, some of these games that happen to Cease. We can't just give it like the 4-minute treatment and make this fit in an hour today. Not if we're going to actually do it justice. Not a game like this, right? I mean, Russell Wilson has his career high in yardage in this game. Of all the years of everything that Russell Wilson has done, this game stands out. He's not dead. As you hear the benching call, and like you said, Cecil, one of the best drives for the game, they were switching in Jackson Dart like in the fourth quarter in a back and forth game. This game had 5 fourth quarter lead changes. 5. The lead changed 5 times in the fourth quarter. The lead, there wasn't a lead change, but Russell Wilson hit a go-ahead touchdown to Malik Neighbors with 25 seconds left, a la Josh Allen and Gabe Davis, and still didn't win. So it's interesting. I mean, it makes you wonder, how did the Eagles not attack this Cowboys pass defense? And next week it's going to be Caleb Williams. That's interesting. And Wan'Dale Robinson getting open downfield, getting free. And then the other big fantasy headline here is Cam Scatterboo kind of taking over for Tyrone Tracy. Certainly he's the more valuable back next week. It doesn't seem like, but that's the funny thing too. Like Andrew Thomas isn't there, so we could see potential Andrew Thomas with Jackson Dart next week though against Kansas City. That's a tougher matchup. James Hudson, the replacement for Thomas, had penalties on 4 straight plays in the opening drive. I mean, just see, this was the kind of game where like some rift in the time and space continuum opened up, and things that like just weird things all aligning in this game. But how about them Cowboys? They got to go home happy.
Yeah, I'm going to blame that meteorite that's changing shapes, allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
Let's talk about Dak Prescott. He's shape-shifting into a great quarterback. He already was. 361, 2 touchdowns, 1 INT, and CeeDee Lamb, 9 for 112. Don't get greedy, because George Pickens had one of the touchdowns, 5 for 68. And Cavante Turpin had another, 4 for 47 for the other touchdown. Jake Ferguson, 9 for 78 in this contest. And Javonte Williams, 18 for 97 on the ground. Rushing touchdown, looking good, 5 a carry. He doesn't regularly get even above 3 yards a carry. So that's great. Miles Sanders, a rushing touchdown here as well. And it takes overtime, but the Cowboys feeling good to get in the right side of the column this week.
Yeah, some of the stuff in week 2 made sense. What made sense here was Dak Prescott played so much better than his numbers in the Thursday night opener, and you saw that translate to his numbers in this one. And the Giants, you look back what Jaden Daniels did against them. Maybe there was more there. There was more there if you watch that game, but Dak Prescott got more, like you said, with Lamb, with Pickens, uneven at times, and a ticky-tack offensive pass interference. It looked like it might affect the outcome of the game. Thankfully, it didn't. And Kayvon Turpin left with a neck injury. He caught a touchdown early in this game. He is still an interesting player. He said he's okay. X-ray's okay. I'm not sure we're going to see him against Chicago in the battle of these poor pass defenses. That could be a high-scoring game next week. But Dak Prescott leading this team, and Javonte Williams, who is still the clear lead back and running with that same renewed vigor. And it's that offensive line opening up holes for him and for Miles Sanders. They go back to Miles Sanders in the red zone, a very well blocked run for his touchdown. So Cease, now, we're looking at Miles Sanders as an interesting injury upside backup here because of the line. Because when you're playing either of these backs, and I'll admit to totally fumbling the analysis here because I just underestimated this line as they signed Tyler Smith to extension this week also. So, this is what they have. And these two things go together. The Micah Parsonless defense and the suspect secondary and Dak Prescott and this passing game. And at least in this matchup, it worked. And again, next week against Chicago, we'll get to what they did on defense today. You're going to see, for fantasy at least, what should be a fun game.
Fun game and fun score if you're a Lions fan. 52-21. You beat up on the Bears. We'll start on the Bears side. Caleb Williams, 207, 2 touchdowns, 1 INT. Tyson Bagent did get in there as well. DeAndre Swift, 12 for 63 and a rushing touchdown. Okay. We'll continue to watch that. Rome Odunze, 7 for 128 and 2 of those touchdowns. Loving that. DJ Moore, 5 for 46. Cole Kmet, 2 for 29. Colson Loveland, 1 target, no catches. Let's discuss the Bears before we get into the bonanza that was the Lions.
Yeah, this was a game, Cease, where Caleb Williams played better than he did last week, but you don't come out of this game feeling any better as a Bears fan about where your team is with Ben Johnson. Remember that Ben Johnson? It's not even a bench game. It's kind of like, congratulations, you graduated game. But, you saw Chicago early. Again, the opening drive looks good. The scripted drive looks good. Odunze emerging as the number 1, and then the numbers can be there because the Bears defense, some injuries contributing to this in the secondary and linebacker core. But Bears, their offense is also going to have to be forced to throw. You did see Swift with a fumble early. Brian Branch is an awesome player, but also Swift had a long run on that early drive, scored a touchdown in garbage time. So for fantasy, it came through. And you did see, even though Roschon Johnson was active, Kyle Monangai, the 7th round pick, was the backup. Although this, again, isn't exactly a running game that we're going to hitch our fantasy teams to. And Caleb had his moments that weren't great, like an interception where I'm not sure what he was doing on an extended play, kind of trying to throw it away. Bears were never really in this game. It never really even seemed like they were in the same today, at least, caliber team. We've seen them, I think on Thanksgiving, play this Lions team in this building a lot closer. But again, we'll see with Chicago going to Dallas, because now you're looking at 0-3, 0-2 in the division. And it was always going to be a rebuilding year, but you don't have to face that this early in the season.
Yeah, not have to face that and then climb out of that. Jared Goff climbing out of the week 1 doldrums to 5 touchdowns, 334, 5 touchdowns. The memes last week were fine and funny because it's like Jared Goff without Ben Johnson. That was him in his Rams uniform. That's fun. But guess what? 5 touchdowns. Amon-Ra St. Brown, the sun god, 3 touchdowns, 9 catches, 115 yards, 11 targets. Jameson Williams, 2 for 108 and a touchdown. Brock Wright, 3 for 28 and a touchdown there as well. Isaac Tesla, 1 catch, 29 yards, but we're still excited about the rookie there. Jahmyr Gibbs, excited about him. 12 for 94 on the ground, 1 rushing touchdown, 3 catches, 10 yards as well. David Montgomery, 11 for 57 and 1 rushing touchdown, a catch for 4 yards there as well. So the Lions make it look easy because, well, Bloom, it's Chicago.
Yeah, and how good is Green Bay's defense? How good is Green Bay's defense that they frustrated this Lions offense all day in week 1? And then everything comes easy against Chicago. Everything comes easy. This looks like a practice for the Detroit offense. There's a breeziness to it that is, for fantasy, you love it too, because it's Dan Campbell. They're going to get to 50. I think they even asked Ben Johnson. Awkward, right? I think they went for it on 4th down and scored a touchdown when the game was basically all right. And Ben Johnson's like, nah, man, come on. No, I don't think he's running up the score. And for fantasy, you like that because when it's coming easy, you see the easy touchdowns. The St. Brown touchdowns were easy. Touchdowns should never be easy in the NFL. And they were just coming all day. So you didn't necessarily have a big game for Jahmyr Gibbs. He had a strong game. Dave Montgomery played really well, but even in a game when they scored 52 points, where his role in the offense is now, he's going to be a flex, and not even really a great flex. But you saw 4 targets, 2 catches for Jameson Williams, no problem, over 100 yards, and a touchdown. Sam Laporta, someone's got to be left out. Sam Laporta gets left out, even though Brock Wright got the touchdown. So that's why Sam Laporta is left out. But let's take a moment to talk about Isaac Tesla. Because we're woo-woo guys. We talk about a lot of stuff off the air that people would be like, this is what they talk about. And then a few people would be like, this is so awesome. This is what they talk about. But this Isaac Tesla thing, man, I mean, he makes a catch for the second week in a row. Like, he gets a target, and it has to be this unbelievably difficult target. It's like, okay, if you can make a twisting one-handed catch at the sideline and somehow get your knee down as you're going to the ground 30 yards downfield, and he does it. Like, this adds another dimension to this offense. This is fun. You know what's really fun, Cecil? Detroit Lions, Baltimore Ravens next week.
Our buddy Jason, our pot stoner degenerate's on a break now. We're Raiders game tomorrow night, buddy. So we'll be rooting for you. By the way, he gives you a bucket hat, sig, Wi-Fi, and glaucoma medicine sponsorship.
Oh yeah, yes,
Starlink and Native Roots.
Yes.
Or Starbuds. You probably have Starbuds down there. Well, wait, no, weed's not legal in New Orleans.
No, it's Louisiana. But sorry, Joe.
You're behind the times.
It's Louisiana. We're so far behind, we're ahead.
You're so far behind, it's like Wi-Fi. You got that fancy cell phone service.
Yeah.
In Louisiana. Love all you guys down there. Love the Rams over Tennessee. Some transitions are better than others. 33-19, the final score. Rams 2-0, making it look easy. Titans 0-2. Let's talk about Matthew Stafford. 298, 2 touchdowns, 1 INT. Devontae Adams, 6 for 106 and a touch. Was Davis Allen. I dare anyone that started him. 1 for 8 and a touchdown there. Puka Nacua, 8 for 91. Jordan Whittington, 2 for 42. Tyler Higbee, 4 for 37. It was Kyron Williams on the ground, 17 for 66. Puka also had 45-yard carry and a touchdown. And then Blake Corum, 5 for 44 and a rushing touchdown there as well. So you started Devontae, you're happy. Started Puka, you're happy. Started Kyron, you're happy. Hell, even started Blake Corum as like a what the heck flex. I forgot to set my lineup. Then you're happy if you're a Rams fan.
Sure, been there. Hey, 2 weeks into the season, I don't want to bloom him, but we're not talking about Matthew Stafford's back. So this is, I think, remember at the beginning of camp when the back stuff was announced, Ryan Fitzpatrick. It's so great to have Ryan Fitzpatrick like still amongst our community where we get some of his takes. He was like, something to the effect of like, you dog, you good way to get out of going to training camp, having to practice. So it looks like that right now. I hope it stays like that, because what's fun about this is going into the game, you hear more balance between Adams and Nacua in this game. And there really was an emphasis on targeting Adams early in the game in the red zone. And of course, it's Devontae Adams. I mean, we're starting to get to the point in his career season where we're like fitted for a gold jacket, Devontae Adams, and still playing like that guy. And then there's Puka Nacua. And it was a down day for Puka. No, it was not a down day for Puka Nacua. Oh my God. This guy, he gets a 45-yard touchdown run on a 4th down. And I mean, again, Jared Verse, psychopath. Jared Verse called him a psychopath. And I mean, remember when Troy Polamalu would get his hands on an interception and the way he would run through the offense? I mean, that's what happens when you let Puka Nacua get the ball behind the line of scrimmage. And then he comes on as the game goes on, ends up scoring a receiving touchdown in addition. Massive game for Nacua. And Matthew Stafford having a good enough game against a Tennessee defense that, made Bo Nix struggle last week to say, well, we're going to consider Matthew Stafford if we have to as a streamer, depending on the matchup. Maybe not next week against Philadelphia. And then with Kyron Williams, the interesting thing here is you get the split more like 70-30. Blake Corum's got more juice. Blake Corum gets the call on the goal to go run and converts it. And, when you think of him in Michigan, you're thinking, well, that's one of the nose for the end zone, the classic nose for the end zone.
Oh, yeah.
So if we're looking at Kyron Williams as a guy getting 70%, not 80, 85% of the touches and losing out on touchdown opportunities, that's really changing the complexion of his fantasy season, even though we're saying a lot of good things about the Rams. Again, next week, it was a great game in the snow, NFC Championship rematch in Philadelphia.
Yeah. Rematch. Tennessee side. Almost forgot about them. Let's not, though, because Cam Ward, keeping plays alive. 175, 1 touchdown. Elik Ayomanor, remember the name. In Dynasty Leagues, you should love him anyway. 456 and a touch. Calvin Ridley, 3 for 57 in this. Chigo Konkwo, 4 for 35. Tony Pollard, 20 carries, 92 yards there. Also was targeted, didn't get a catch there. Well, Tyler Lockett's not paying off, and really nobody else is on this Titans offense.
No, not yet. I mean, there's Tony Pollard. For 2 more weeks, you're going to get Tony Pollard as a constant. The defense is good enough, at least, that they aren't going to get blown out. Tony Pollard's going to remain involved and give everything he's got. And then you have Cam Ward. And like you said, Cease, the signature play of this game was one where Cam Ward, they have the ball about the 10 on a goal to go down, and he retreats all the way to like the 25 or the 30. And he's processing rushers, eluding them, directing his fellow rookie Ayumanor in the back of the end zone, and leads him out. One of those throws sort of against your body, sort of across the field, but certainly a throw in a situation that makes you understand the kind of poise, kind of calm, clarity of mind he has under fire. And then you see the chemistry with the Ayumanor. So this is fun. And I think we're going to talk about him on the waiver wire show. And I think as Ward gets better, this is going to be a discount Tedero McMillan this year. You did have, again, good edge on this Rams defense. Byron Young getting a couple sacks, and Ward's learning. But the fun thing is Indianapolis next week. That's going to be his lesson. The fun thing is that the quarterback we're missing right now with Michael Penix. But you love the way that when a young quarterback engages with the game, to stay right there on the edge of their abilities and say, I'm going to learn. I'm going to risk something to make something happen. And that's where growth comes at quarterback. And even though Cam Ward's not creating a lot of fantasy value yet, especially for himself, you see that the makings are there of a quarterback that we're going to look forward to watching and look forward to the production he creates.
Well, Bloom, let's get woo-woo on everybody. 27 minutes into the show. And if you're with us, well, you're probably a little crunchy yourself.
Yeah. Even though you might not know it.
Life responds to risk, Carnal.
Right.
It's not just quarterback play. Like in football and in life, if you do the same thing every day, you'll have the same results.
Yeah.
If you take that chance, that's where you create your new reality.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're stepping into the reality in which you create. So if you're Cam Ward, I could say the same thing about Bo Nix or any of these young quarterbacks. Like when you take the risks to learn, you're going to break some eggs to make an omelet. But that omelet tastes pretty tasty. So It's risk in life and risk in football that leads to growth and development.
Yeah, and with Cam Ward again, I'm going to bring this up so often.
See, when are we going to get our Native Root sponsorship so we could do this and get all crunchy?
Wellness. You're going to come here for fantasy football and wellness, mental health. That's what we're in the business of. Right. Well, it's all connected. So remember, you got to remember, Cam Ward is the guy who's driving around basically like tryouts at colleges in Texas to try to convince college football coaches that he should be a college football quarterback. No 0 stars, no nothing. And then he goes to Incarnate Word and they see him, they see his natural talent, his natural arm talent. And they're like, we please, like we're on the spot. Basically, we're going to give you a scholarship. But Cam Ward had to see his belief in himself when the universe was telling him like, no, that to get this far and for him to be a number 1 pick, I think shows the immense ability he has to visualize and create these realities. And I think that just translates to the field with that play that he made today. And I think that's why it was such a wonderful telling moment. And like, this is what Cam Ward in the NFL is going to look like. And it means we have a lot more exciting moments to look forward to as he grows as a player. That level that he can play at is going to keep going up.
Yeah. And that's why it's more than just what you think about, you bring about. You can think about it all day, baby. Take action. Action, the number 1 force in the universe. Love and action. We love this game, and we love for you to check out footballguys.com. We got 4 games down. We got 8 games to go here on the Week 2 recap here. It's the Audible Live. Cecil, Lammey, Sigmund, Bloom, come on over to our YouTube channel. We actually have multiple YouTube channels of Football Guys, so make sure to subscribe to them all. Collect them all. as Sig and I have been doing this for 20 years of the Audible. We appreciate you very, very much. New England Patriots, Miami Dolphins is the next one up. 33-27, the final score. At least the Dolphins put up a fight. But Drake May goes for 230, 2 touchdowns, no INTs in this one. Keyshawn Butte, give him more, please. 1 touchdown, 1 catch, 16 yards. Mac Hollins, 1 catch, 8 yards, 1 touchdown. But it was 5 for 88 for Ramondre Stevenson as a receiver. 11 for 54 on the ground for Stevenson. Austin Hoopa, 3 for 38. Stephon Diggs, 4 for 32. There's Drake May with 31 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown. And then Travion Henderson. A lot of fantasy GMs are going to be asking about him. We'll get to RJ Harvey a little bit later, but Travion with 3 for 10 on the ground, 2 for 30 as a receiver. Okay, game that you won, playing some fast break football, but man, kind of thought Travion would be more involved, but it's a win, it's a win, it's a win. And Drake May learning and growing while he still plays hero ball.
Yeah, it's against Miami. So another thing that emerged again as offensive football looking relatively easy for New England last week. And we don't have the Raiders defense in high regard. And New England didn't exactly go up and down the field on the Raiders last week at home. So Miami's defense, we're going to continue to target. They play Buffalo on Thursday night, by the way. And because of that, Drake May has a really good fantasy game, including the rushing touchdown. Doesn't create a lot necessarily for his targets. And this is getting to the point now where, well, 1 week it's going to be Hunter Henry, 1 week it's going to be Austin Hooper. At least Keyshawn Boutte caught a touchdown. Demario Douglas coming soon. Hurts to the shut him down segment. Stephon Diggs even. You're not necessarily seeing the comfort zone where Drake May is as far as his wide receivers and tight ends, partially because Ramondre Stevenson was really good in this game. And you saw this talk from Mike Reese. And when we hear Mike Reese say it, then we pay attention saying, well, they might adjust the running back snaps, but they do still go to Ramondre Stevenson early. And it's not just Ramondre Stevenson as a runner, but as a receiver. And one particular play that went for like 55 yards where Drake May did a classic, like step up, reset your body, reset your mind, find Ramondre Stevenson, and Ramondre Stevenson making a wonderful wide receiver like catch on the run, adding yards after the catch. So Ramondre Stevenson, that all-around back, that guy that can be doing everything you ask a running back to do, and some things you rarely ask a running back to do, like catch or pass 30 yards downfield. So his value is up here. And with Henderson, in a matchup like this, where things go well for this offense, we're waiting. People are going to ask the same thing about RJ Harvey. We're waiting. Don't drop him. Mm-hmm. Hold on, but it's not there yet. And then you have in this game another rip in the time-space continuum. And I think this was this matchup and the scene where Kenyon Drake was part of it, right? Like the Rob Gronkowski playing like safety basically and not being able to stop the crazy kick return touchdown. Here we had dueling. We had a punt return touchdown by Malik Washington and Antonio Gibson, who can still play, with the kickoff return touchdown. So the dueling touchdowns here, this was another breathtaking early game. And for Tua Tagovailoa, watch me here, Cecil, he's breathing again.
Hey, they're totally not trading Tyreek Hill because they haven't got any offer that's worth a damn. Tyreek Hill, 6 for 109 in this one. Devon Achane, 8 for 92 and a receiving touchdown, and then 11 for 30 on the ground. There is Jalen Waddle with 5 for 68 and a touchdown there as well. And as you mentioned, Tua with 315 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 INTs, sacked 5 times, and every single sack, you're just going, please get up. Please get up.
Yeah. This is kind of like the Joe Burrow situation we're talking about, in the sense that that for him to play at where he needs to be to make things happen, especially because of how bad this defense is and how their offensive line, already down Austin Jackson, this is going to be a risky season for him. But it was like a bad dream the last year plus that he woke up from. It's like Mike McDaniel woke up from. Players only meeting this week, sees the classic players only meeting. And you're throwing downfield and you're harnessing the speed, you're hitting guys in stride. And what you saw was, still no running game to speak of, but Devon Achane in the passing game, bouncing off of guys, the burst is there. Jalen Waddle gets a touchdown early. Tyreek Hill, and there was more there. That's the thing. There was even more there, which makes you wonder about New England's pass defense, because Geno threw for 362 on them in week 1, and now the Miami passing game comes roaring back to life. But to a missed Hill, to a few, like an inexplicable interception on 4th down, it was there for Miami to pull off what would have felt like an upset after how bad they were last week. So, again, playing Buffalo, and you're saying, oh, New England's pass defense is so bad. Who gets to feast? Oh, Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers.
Yeah, we'll get to that a little bit later. Now it is 49ers and Saints. 26-21, the final score. Saints are 0-2. 49ers 2-0 with Mac Jones. And if Kyle Shanahan liked you, he's still going to like you. So there you go. Mac Jones, he gets his guy. 279, 3 touchdowns, no INTs for Mac Jones. So there you go. Juwan Jennings, 5 for 89 and a touchdown. Ricky Persall, 4 for 56. It was Christian McCaffrey, 6 for 52 and a receiving touchdown, 13 for 55 on the ground. Kendrick Bourne, 3 for 32. The other receiving touchdown is Luke Farrell. So there you go. He gets a receiving touchdown in this contest. Brian Robinson, 6 carries, 20 yards, a catch for -1. But yeah, Mac Jones, that's the story of this game, Blue.
Yeah, it is. And there's the story before the story, which of course was that Kyle Shanahan wanted Mac Jones and John Lynch wanted Trey Lance. And well, this is a revenge. You talk about revenge games. This is kind of a revenge narrative on reality. Things intervened and kept them from being together. Mac Jones actually started 0 for 3 in this game, but had a terrific game. And see, sometimes the biggest telling points in a story of a game are the things we don't talk about, right? Like, we're not going to talk about George Kittle not playing in this game. We're not going to talk about Trent Williams being game time decision. We're not going to talk about how the 49ers offense didn't have Brock Purdy, because Mac Jones ran the offense very well. Saints defense is not exactly that imposing, but still, we see every week that you have to go out there and you have to execute. And you execute to Christian McCaffrey catching a touch, a classic Christian McCaffrey game, not necessarily breaking free for massive plays, but just helping keep the offense on schedule, moving the ball steadily down the field, and still a very viable target. Juwan Jennings getting a little banged up, but also Mac Jones finds him running free in the open field. He takes it for a touchdown. A little edge off the Ricky Persall upside with Jennings back. But with Mac Jones, that he's going to preserve some of the value of this passing game. And that they're not going to have to rush Brock Purdy back. When Brock Purdy comes back, it's going to be when he's ready to come back. And this is a team that is 2-0. They've won 2 games on the road. They're playing Arizona next week. They have a chance to go 3-0. 2 would be 2 divisional wins. And again, we're not talking about the injuries. We're not talking about Kyle Shanahan failing. We're talking about how San Francisco has a solid team.
Yeah, solid team. And there you go. And Spencer Rattler has a job for now. 207 yards, 3 touchdowns, no INT. So Chris Olave goes 6 for 54. Rashid Shaheed, 4 for 52 and a touchdown. Juwan Johnson, 5 for 49 and a touchdown. And Devon Vele gets in the end zone, 1 catch for 3 yards. Alvin Kamara goes 21 for 99. He had 100 yards on 20 carries and then must have lost yardage, right? Because I looked at a box score earlier. So anyway, hopefully you don't play in a 100-yard bonus league. There's still a few of those kicking around. Kamara gets 6 catches for 21 yards. So there you go. The secret code. Not so secret. I mean, hell, he's Alvin Kamara. Let's talk about the Saints and then move on.
Yeah, and I think, Cease, let's take a moment. I'm not just saying this because I'm down here in New Orleans. I'm wearing my Frankie and Johnny shirt, by the way. I have to take you there, Cease. It's the best, greasiest green pepper rings you'll have in your whole life. Anyway, this is a Saints team, Cease, that if you look at what they have to work with, that they're competitive, that they're hanging into the last drive of the game is actually pretty impressive. As far as if we're measuring like expectations versus reality, the Saints are, they're 0-2, but they're 0-2 with games that are alive until basically deep in the fourth quarter. And we weren't expecting that. So it's Spencer Rattler's playing with a lot of heart. He's keeping plays alive. Juwan Johnson had some drops. He still throws up one to Johnson at the goal line that is a terrifically difficult play, and Johnson makes it. Johnson's value is lasting. He gets a touchdown on this one. Chris Olave getting enough targets. And then you mentioned Alvin Kamara, and this dude's just a lifetime Saint, man. I don't know what they have here, like a Ring of Honor, like a Po' Boy ring, whatever. But he is going to give everything he has to this franchise when it's said and done. Doesn't matter the record, doesn't matter who the quarterback is, doesn't matter who the coach is. And for a fantasy player, that's what you want, right? I mean, that's the kind of spirit you want in your players. So you see the numbers coming through in PPR league, you're liking what you got from him. And well, maybe a little bit tougher draw than San Francisco's defense next week at Seattle.
Let's talk Buffalo Bills and New York Jets. This will be a quicker one.
Yeah.
Because it's 30-10. The Bills roll, Jets, lose. Not as inspired as they were against the Steelers. Mitchell Trubisky played, and that's rich man, poor man. Either it's like great news because the Bills rolled, or it's awful news because something happened to Josh Allen. Nothing happened to Josh Allen, but he just didn't need to do a whole lot because James Cook does everything. 132 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, and one of the sweetest touchdowns that you'll ever see all season long. It's week 2, and James Cook's already given us like forever highlights. That's the type of play that he had on that one of his 2 rushing touchdowns. So passing wise, it's 148 yards, which means nobody did anything for pass catchers. When Joshua Palmer, who exactly 0 people started, is your leading receiver with 2 for 47, it tells you everything you need to know. Josh Allen did have 59 yards rushing. Don't at me, bro, and don't get greedy. You've got Josh Allen. You just didn't have a lot of fantasy points from him today.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, you averaged his first 2 weeks. He won your week for you in the week 1. I don't want to say he lost your week, but if you average it out, he's still like a top 5, top 6 quarterback. He got a bloody nose. He had to leave the game for a bloody nose, and Mitchell Trubisky comes in and completes a 32-yard pass to Joshua Palmer, which I think was their biggest passing play of the day. And then Allen comes back in, and Allen had a long run early on in the game, but it was James Cook, and James Cook got his extension and really is announcing through a game like this one that he's one of those foundational running backs. And maybe, I shouldn't let my heart and my head run away, because I feel for this Bills fan base, man. I mean, I want them to get a Super Bowl. And maybe James Cook becoming the kind of running back who can be a Jonathan Taylor, who can be a Saquon Barkley, who can have certain days where it's like, my will is going to be, my physical abilities and my will together are going to make it so that we don't need a quarterback today. And just add that little extra something. Elijah Moore even got involved in this one. But like you said, not much for the passing game. At least Dalton Kincaid had 4 for 37. So, and Dawson Knox had 5 targets in this game. So Dalton Kincaid was okay, not a bust, when everybody else in the passing game was. And Dawson Knox got 5 targets. So you like that. And again, Buffalo plays Miami on Thursday night. So more offense is coming. Don't you worry if you got Josh Allen and company.
Yeah, do not worry. And then if you've got Justin Fields, okay.
Worry.
Breece Hall. He's going to run the hell out of Breece Hall. Other than Garrett Wilson with 4 for 50, which is enough. It's not what you want, but it's enough. Nobody started Jeremy Ruckert, who had the touchdown from Tyrod Taylor. So, all right, Jets, here you go.
Yeah, this was weird. So this was one of those outcomes that makes no sense when you just watched these teams play the week before, because the Jets gashed the Steelers. And we'll talk about how the Steelers run defense did today. The Jets gashed the Steelers. Justin Fields looked calm, composed, intentional as a passer in a way that we've not seen that often from him. And it sure looked like the Jets offense was going to have a very interesting combination. And then, of course, Garrett Wilson getting fed. In this game, nothing. And the Bills couldn't stop Derrick Henry last week. So you put those two things together, a hot running game and the Bills defense, the weary defense, but it never came together. And then Justin Fields just reverted in this game. So and he left with a concussion. So for fantasy, Tyrod Taylor actually could be better for the offense overall. I don't know. It's tough. Ed Oliver wasn't playing. You really thought that they were going to wear down this front. Never even really had a chance to. Maybe Baltimore's offense is that good and Buffalo's defense isn't bad. Asking a lot of questions. And guess what? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are up next. They can stop the run. So, yeah, it could be another rough day.
Yeah, Steelers can't stop the run. 31-17, the final score, Seattle over Pittsburgh. Both teams are now 1-1. Sam Darnold, 295, 2 touchdowns, 2 INTs. Jackson Smith and Jigba, 8 for 103. Cooper Kupp, 7 for 90. Torrey Horton, CSU represent, one receiving touchdown, a couple catches for the kid. We're definitely watching him in dynasty formats, like Elijah Arroyo with a couple of catches as well. AJ Barner with the other receiving touchdown. And then let's talk about the snap differential for Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker. Walker coming through with 13 for 105 and a rushing touchdown, and only along the 20. So it's not like in those 13 carries, there's a 50-yarder somewhere lurking around. And then Zach Charbonnet, 15 carries, 10 yards. Although you're watching the snap counts early on, at least, Bloom, and you're like, Zach Charbonnet is out snapping Kenneth Walker, and it's not even close. At the end of the game, notice how much Walker pays off for his fantasy GMs.
Yeah, this game for Seattle showed a lot more hope. Although, if you want to make these outcomes make sense, again, going back to how Justin Fields had so much trouble today, how the Jets offense had so much trouble today, and they didn't last week. And then you watch this game, you just get, and I'm a neurotic Steelers fan, you just get the feeling. See, you remember the Tommy Maddox years, the little Tommy Maddox era there, before they got Troy Polamalu, in that first year when Troy Polamalu was learning, before they got Ben Roethlisberger. I don't want to say that it's necessarily a bad defense, because there's a lot of ballers on the field, but just so many lapses or so many things. And some of this, I think, comes back to Mike Tomlin. So many things where when an offensive coordinator has you outflanked, where's the responsiveness? Remember that game when a linebacker was on Keenan Allen? That kind of stuff. The Steelers, that's embarrassing. And in this game where Sam Darnold, if he wasn't throwing to Jackson Smith and Jigba last week, he was having trouble, right? He fumbled on a play that he wasn't even hit and to lose the game last week. And the Steelers did make a few plays. There was a point when Clint Kubiak on 4th down and 1 in Steelers territory called a pass. And Sam Darnold kind of panicked and the pass got tipped and Nick Herbig intercepted it and returned it the Steelers deep into Seattle territory. There was another interception that was just a bad throw that he kind of forced. But otherwise, this pass offense was humming. Cooper Kupp catching a lot of passes, close, short, but in stride, very accurate, on time, setting him up to turn these 5-yard targets into 15-yard catches. So he's back for fantasy, at least in a matchup. But, the Steelers were missing Joey Porter. They were missing Deshaun Elliott. Alex Highsmith, who's arguably as impactful as TJ Watt right now, he went out in this game. So it was a longer afternoon, but this game, Kenneth Walker comes out, gets the clinching touchdown, and early on they use him. And again, you see the talent difference now. So he's going to be okay. Charbonnet, we're back to holding him if and when Walker gets hurt. But this game was 17-14 in the fourth quarter. And Steelers fans of our age, Cecil, all remember Barry Foster. We all remember the Barry Foster play. I think it was against San Francisco. With Barry Foster, it was just leaving the ball sitting there in the 3-yard line on a kickoff. And with Caleb Johnson, it was in the end zone. The ball, that's the ball, the football, the thing that is the most valuable thing in the game. And that's just, I hope that it's this weird backwards omen where it means that Barry Foster, Caleb Johnson and the team is going to come and rally around him. But you just can't be a winning football team when things like that happen.
Yeah, can't be a winning football team. And Aaron Rodgers can't throw a couple of picks and look like Aaron Rodgers in week 2. 203 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 INTs. DK Metcalf with a great touchdown. And you're thinking, wow, do that some more. And then they didn't. Morgan Freeman voice. They did not do that again. Jaylen Warren, 4 for 86. That's not who you want your leading receiver to be. Jaylen Warren, 14 for 48. Fine. Caleb Johnson with a carry, whatever. But just it's not here for this team, and they look like a turtle on their back.
Yeah, this is Aaron Rodgers now looking his age. And when you're facing a defense that's not taking the bait, a really good Seattle defense. Okay, one of the better defenses in the NFL. But the Arthur Smith playbook all of a sudden doesn't just bling come to life because this is a good defense, even without Devon Witherspoon. And what did you see? Again, I think set up with a short field. You did at least DK Metcalf got a touchdown against his old team. I think was barely targeted until late in the second quarter. And like you said, Jalen Warren, they come out here after Kenneth Gainwell leads the backfield and snaps last week, week one. Warren's more like the feature back, and he plays like one 65-yard catch and run, almost a 70-yard touchdown. And like he's their best weapon, which I don't know was the plan because Aaron Rodgers is limited because this offensive line is limited. And we'll see again, a good litmus test next week, a New England defense that's given up 300-yard passing games to Geno Smith and Tua Tagovailoa. Hopefully things will go better, but Foxborough, it's a Steelers fan, bad memories, Cease.
Yeah, bad memories. We could make good memories though with Lester in our chat room because he says Aaron's too concerned about eluding the Hat Man to concentrate in meetings. So yeah, I think Lester, one of our longtime viewers / listeners, sit around, smoke a beady, talk everything.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's it. That's what we're here to do.
Do I have to say sorry, Joe, for talking about smoking a beady?
It's a hand-rolled cigarette. I mean, that's like, from antiquity.
All right. Let's have some fun, ? Talking about Ravens-Browns, 41-17, the final score. Browns are 0-2. Ravens are 1-1. Joe Flacco, 199, 1 touchdown, 1 INT in this one. Jerry Jeudy, 4 for 51. You also saw Dylan Gabriel come in and throw a touchdown there as well. Harold Fannin, 5 for 48. Like to see that from the kid. David Njoku, 4 for 40. There you go. Cedric Tillman with the touchdown. Dylan Simpson, I stick by my story, receiving touchdown there as well because Quinshon Judkins was out there. But Sampson with that receiving job that he has, now only 3 targets, but he caught all 3 and 1 was for a touchdown. That's at least what the heck flex worthy, especially in PPR formats. If the guy's getting, 8 catches, 3 catches and a touchdown, whatever, Judkins can be back, but he's still a 2-down banger and 61 yards, 6.1 a carry, 31 yard is the long. You like that clip for that young man. We're curious to see how they would treat Judkins in his first game out there. And he produced well. So it's the Browns, and I guess we'll take whatever we can get.
Yeah, I mean, they were blown off the field. This was like a Saturday game, Cease, where it's, Colorado School Mines. Sorry, Colorado School Mines. That was the level that the Browns were at compared to the Ravens. And you saw, again, Joe Flacco moved this offense, even though the Browns had enough self-inflicted wounds to lose to the Bengals last week. He didn't really move the offense against the Ravens. And we did see Dylan, a garbage time touchdown, Dylan Gabriel. And you wonder at what point, we're going to see Dylan Gabriel just to get him some reps and see what the franchise has in him. And it comes out before this game that the Ravens wanted to draft Shedeur Sanders, but he said, I don't want to be a backup to Lamar Jackson. It's funny at the moments these things come out, Cease. So Judkins, his 30-yard run came when the game was out of hand. But you're right, they're going to commit to him as the early down back. You saw a little more in Njoku, but enough Fannin. So even in a game against Flacco threw the ball 45 times again. I mean, I guess that's what's going to happen just about every week. Cedric Tillman had a touchdown on a deflection. So, a fluke touchdown. Jerry Jeudy. I mean, there's no excitement here in this offense. Okay. And then, so let's picture how this is going to go, Cease. Like, what if you drop back Joe Flacco 45 times against the Green Bay Packers? That's the opponent next week.
Yeah. Magical thinking, Eric. It's not going to get you out of that one.
No.
And then that means we need to talk about the Baltimore side, which there you go. That one's just pick your poison. What do you want now? It's Lamar Jackson, 225, 4 touchdowns, no INTs. Derrick Henry with 11 for 23 on the ground. And then you look at this and Tez Walker. Somebody in our chat room said is like Chris Carter impression. Like Tez Walker. Do not forget about Tez Walker. Dynasty-wise, certainly. 2 for 26, 2 touchdowns, though. So just put a pin in it, and we'll see. DeAndre Hopkins, 2 for 64 in the receiving touchdown. Zay Flowers, 7 for 75 in this one. And then Tylan Wallace, with the receiving touchdown there as well. Mark Andrews with a catch for 2 yards. So, odd. But it's Cleveland, and it was easy for Baltimore. That's why they made it look easy.
Yeah, it was really easy. And, this was a Cleveland defense it's a good defense, has, Myles Garrett, and it gave Joe Burrow trouble last week, and they generally give Joe Burrow trouble. And they've had some games against Lamar Jackson. Steelers had some games against Lamar Jackson, but they come into this one saying, we're not afraid of Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry running over until the fumble, the Buffalo Bills. And they come out, and sure enough, they stonewall Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, they're stopping him. Take that, Baltimore. Derrick Henry's not. Oh, okay. Well, Lamar Jackson's going to sit back there for like 10 10 seconds and find whoever he wants. It was like everybody on the roster who's going to score a touchdown today. Tez Walker had 2 touchdowns today. Again, Tylan Wallace getting a touchdown. DeAndre Hopkins had a touchdown and a catch at the 1-yard line that looked like a touchdown. So we're this close, Cease, to DeAndre Hopkins having 3 targets from Lamar Jackson and all 3 being touchdowns. So that's the level that Lamar Jackson is playing at as a passer right now. No hangover here, losing that lead, 15-point lead in the final minutes to the Bills. And by the way, Zay Flowers didn't catch a touchdown, still had a solid fantasy game, even though Lamar only threw the ball 29 times. So yeah, this is going to happen. You're going to, we stuffed Derrick Henry. And then Lamar Jackson throws 4 touchdowns on you. So that might discourage teams. How do you approach this offense? Who do you try to take away? It doesn't matter. Someone's going to get you. And again, that's why Baltimore, Detroit next week.
Yeah, got to get you. That's for sure. Wayne says Lamar Jackson could have phoned a friend.
Yeah. Yes. Good reference.
Yes. I like that. Allie on base says, here for the broccoli talk.
Yeah, I saw that. I think broccoli's great, like flash fried with a little bit of salt. Broccoli. I mean, the thing is, so when people are saying they don't like broccoli, you need to come down to Louisiana and you need to get broccoli when it's in season. I don't even know. I think it's in the spring, but from my friend Timmy Perilou at the farmer's market, who has a farm right on the river, basically. And that's what broccoli actually tastes like. You just haven't had real broccoli yet until you've had it grown in the Mississippi Delta.
Come to Colorado and have our broccoli and our mushrooms.
You're gunning for that sponsorship tonight.
Something, please, for the love of God. Let's talk Broncos and Colts in this one. I know everyone's looking for me to lose my mind. I did that on the post-game show. Check out Denver Sports.
Oh, really?
Channel if you want to see me do that. Yeah, because awesome. The way they lose this game. You have a leverage call, which was the correct call. I'm not going to rally against the refs made the right call. And it's like a career-long what in the world are you doing if you're DJ Jones and Awazarike there? So whatever, but 28-29, Colts get the win. I'm just glad that they actually gave up on downs. That was their first time. They didn't score on a drive because, listen, doing games is tough. I said this on the postgame show. I've done color commentary for minor league football, and then they ended up using my tape as their coaching tape. So I'm sitting there ripping guys up one or down. Like, this guy thinks he's Aaron Rodgers. Look at that. Arm's terrible. Look at that. And then they used it as tape. And I'm like, oh, crap. So they heard everything I said about him. I know it's tough, but my God, Trent Green, baby, you got to have more. Because it was just like the Colts they've had a drive and they've scored every single drive. Oh, okay, God. The Broncos offense looked good. Broncos defense got worked. We'll get back to that in a little bit. But Bo Nix looked like he was Bo Nix again. Week 1, he didn't look like Bo Nix. Week 2, he looks like Bo Nix. 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, 206 through the air. Troy Franklin, 8 for 89 and a touch. Yes. Marvin Mims, 2 for 24, early touchdown. Yes. Adam Troutman with a gift touchdown, whatever. Pat Bryant got a little bit involved. Cortland Sutton, 1 catch, 6 yards. That's it. It's not like they were taking him away. It's just Bo wasn't looking at him because he had eyes for Troy with those 9 targets. J.K. Dobbins, 14 for 76 and a rushing touchdown. Really looked good today. R.J. Harvey didn't do much. And the Broncos fall short.
What'd you say? He's half a unit on Troy Franklin last week on the waiver wire. Whoops. Yeah. Sorry. See, this week, the waiver wire report values brought to you by Cecil Lammey, because there's your 1 week ahead waiver wire pickup. Like you said, Cease, and you saw there was, one of the biggest plays was on a broken play, play where they were on the same page. Nix was better than he was last week for sure. And Dobbins clearly, even though RJ Harvey broke that long run and didn't really give him more opportunities, they did get Dobbins a little more involved early. And, Mims had a touchdown. It's a little bit disturbing, though, to see Sutton get so little in a game where they scored 28 points and Nix was better. So you wonder, where's the consistency going to come other than Devin Ingram? Do we even need him? He had a catch. Okay, I don't know if his calf's bothering him or what, but who's going to be consistent other than J.K. Dobbins being a low ceiling running back too? And if the offense can't get, you want the defense to dictate the game script. And if they're not able to do that, I think, we went into this season thinking, oh, now we're going to see year 2 Bo Nix. Sean Payton has a roster of his guys playing his way. They're steeped in the Sean Payton way. And we're going to see like really what this Broncos team has. And in the first game, the defense, I think, fit that bill. Bo Nix didn't. But in this game, there are other things missing. And it really makes you wonder if we're just going to be waiting forever to see the real Sean Payton Broncos.
Yeah, you drop this one and the Colts win this one. They've got to be feeling momentum in that division. Daniel Jones, 316, 1 touchdowns, no INTs. And this is not the Dolphins. It's a good Broncos defense that had no answers, 0 answers. Jonathan Taylor, 165 on the ground, and also 50 yards and a receiving touchdown on a couple of catches. So over 200 all-purpose yards from the one guy. Now, of course, Tyler Warren, you concern yourself with. They did put Pat Surtain on Tyler Warren at times. Still didn't matter. 4 for 79 in this one. Alec Pierce, 4 for 68. Got some on Pat Surtain. Josh Downs, 6 for 51. Got some on Pat Surtain. And Surtain goes out with like a kick shin / ankle thing, but he was still kind of getting worked early in this contest as well. So let's put a pin in that for the defensive player of the year. But good job, Jones. Good job, Taylor. And not a good job from Vance Joseph's unit.
Yeah, let's see. We have to ponder some interesting things here, because if this keeps up, this was certainly the litmus test, and the schedule gets easier for Indianapolis from here. So get ready for this Daniel Jones narrative to really gain some steam. I mean, maybe enough steam. Could lightning strike again, where like they sign him to an extension during the season? Like, this is great. Let's make this happen forever, because you see a little bit of time with Kevin O'Connell. And see who has more, who are people saying flowery things, who's getting more flowers right now than Kevin O'Connell, at least in terms of quarterback and developing quarterbacks and handling quarterbacks. So Daniel Jones seeks out Kevin O'Connell, and then Shane Steichen, we know, he had wonderful results with Jalen Hurts. And you see early in this game, the execution, and Daniel Jones went 6 overall because he has the tools, and he's even mentally tough and competitive. It isn't like he isn't mentally going to the fetal position when he plays football. He's going to lay it out, and he's not even doing it as a scrambler. He did get a sneak touchdown, another one, and they seem really intent on getting him that sneak touchdown, but he's doing it as a passer. And we've talked about this all offseason. They have so much talent, especially Tyler Warren. I will say, what's surprising to me about Tyler Warren is he looks exactly the same way against NFL defenses as he did against Big Ten defenses. And I always think with some of these Big Ten guys, like, well, except for maybe Ohio State receivers, like, Tyler Warren didn't look like he had these massive athletic advantages, but you're seeing him really hang in this way that is so promising for them. And Josh Downs bouncing back, Alec Pierce making those plays while he's being tackled downfield. And then there's Jonathan Taylor. And Jonathan Taylor had the kind of performance today. And I do want to emphasize again, Patrick Surtain gets hurt in this one, and that's really important to the Denver defense. I mean, not just tactically, but he's the avatar of the defense. He's the heart of the defense, really. And you saw Jonathan Taylor, speaking of heart. I mean, he had one of those games today. It was like, if you love the throwback football, motorboating. If you like this idea of a running back that's like, give it to me again, give it to me again, give it to me again. He is peaking right now. And with Daniel Jones playing like this, Indy's 2-0 for the first time in like 17 years, playing Tennessee next week.
9, I think.
Yeah. So Tennessee next week. So let's roll in. Jim Irsay, it's smiling, looking up, looking down, looking from all over, looking from every angle possible.
There you go. Carolina, Arizona is our next game. We got a couple of games to go here on the week 2 recap. 27-22, the final score. Cardinals 2-0, Panthers 0-2. Bryce Young, 35 of 55, 328, 3 touchdowns, 1 INTs, couple of them to Hunter Renfrow, who I believe hadn't scored a touchdown since 2022, something like that. So he gets 7 for 48, 2 touchdowns. Chuba Hubbard gets 5 for 39, 1 receiving touchdown, including 10 for 38 on the ground. Tedorone McMillan, 6 for 100. DeChavian Sanders, 7 for 54. Let's put a pin in that. And let's watch Carolina go 0-2, but fantasy-wise, you were happy with some of your guys.
Yeah, this game was weird. Arizona just mopped the floor with the Panthers for most of this game. Okay. Bryce Young comes out and we're like, here we go again. Here we go again. Sack, fumble, touchdown. The game, I mean, people are still sitting down in their seats, and already Bryce Young has fumbled. And it was like a 3-yard return for a touchdown. And then next drive, he gets hit, interception. Oh, man. Arizona gets up big early in this game, but garbage time, and we saw this again. Arizona just can't finish games. We saw it last week against Spencer Rattler. They almost, it wasn't a really good defensive play. Jawan Johnson almost caught a touchdown. They could have went for 2 and 1, and it looked like for the last minute or so of the game before Arizona made some plays, because Arizona kept making penalties on the penultimate drive moments in the game, where Bryce Young had a chance to win, and along the way, Tedero McMillan is good. Oh my. The way that he plays, the focus he plays with, and the way that he moves at the size, the wingspan he has when the ball's in the air. Bryce Young's going to trust him. But then you also saw in this game more in the short range, passing to Jatavian Sanders, passing Hunter Renfrow, getting 2 touchdowns. So as long as there's all, a whole quarter of garbage time, Bryce Young threw the ball 55 times. That's not going to happen very often. But you saw those targets, even Chuba Hubbard again with a garbage time touchdown. But again, garbage time almost turned into an unbelievable, I think it was like 27-9 with 5 minutes left. And Carolina was in position to win if Bryce Young would have been able to make a few more plays. So what are we going to get from Carolina next week against Atlanta? I don't know.
Who the hell knows? What are we going to get from Marvin Harrison Jr.? Kyler Murray had 220, 1 touchdown, 1 INT, and the 1 touchdown was to Michael Wilson. Trey McBride had 6 for 78. Elijah Higgins, 2 for 45. Trey Benson, 4 for 30 as receiver, and 3 carries for 14 yards on the ground. James Conner, 11 for 34, and a rushing touchdown and a catch for 18 yards. So you're going to look at the box score and be like, wow, where's Marvin Harrison? 2 for 27. That's not great, Bob.
Yeah, it's odd that Arizona controls each of the first 2 games. Clayton Adams, new offensive coordinator, you're going to establish the run. James Conner, Trey Benson. And again, Conner gets a touchdown, but otherwise the run never really gets on track. Trey Benson makes some plays, again, not enough to be a good fantasy play, but boy, you can see, a year or 2 down the line, he's going to be an every down back. Hold on to your Trey Benson dynasty shares. And Kyler Murray has some moments in this game. Kyler Murray has some moments where probably one of the, as a passer, and you like the play call too, like 9 seconds left, you get to take 1 shot at the end zone. They don't have any timeouts. So you're really trusting Kyler Murray here to execute. And they're snapping the ball from like the 15-yard line. So it's a low percentage play. I don't remember exactly from where, but he had to feather a ball in, like layer it in just right to Michael Wilson for the touchdown. And he executes it in like 4 seconds. So crisp. The kinds of plays that, if he can stack these kinds of plays, then we're talking. But it was really a lot of throwing to tight ends, even Elijah Higgins getting involved. Carolina can't cover tight ends. And Kyle Pitts is up next week once again. But not much to Marvin Harrison after they did have a passing touchdown by design. They had a nice deep ball, not as much. So are we back to basically what we had last year, and what's weird here is Kyler Murray's playing pretty well. Arizona is 2-0. Again, great showdown with San Francisco next week. But Kyler Murray is not great for fantasy. Like, this isn't an offense producing fantasy numbers, even though if you look, say, through like 3.5 quarters, they've comfortably outplayed their opponents in the first 2 weeks.
Eagles and Chiefs to wrap up this bad boy, and it's not as exciting as I thought. Not as exciting as we wanted in the Super Bowl rematch. 20-17, the final score. Chiefs are 0-2. Give me the percentage of how many playoff teams and blah, 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 blah. Okay, they'll be fine. Eagles 2-0. Jalen Hurts goes 101 through the air. All right, rushing touchdown. That helps. Devontae Smith, 4 for 53. A.J. Brown, 5 for 27. They did throw to him. No Dallas Goedert in this game, of course. Saquon Barkley does it all. 22 for 88. 1 rushing touchdown, 2 catches, 6 yards there as well. But again, not really the game we were expecting. A win for Philadelphia. It's all that matters. But 20 points. Interesting.
Yeah. See, it almost felt like, and I'm not saying this is what happened, but there was a lack of intensity in terms of the way these teams decided to engage and attack each other that was almost like, I'm not going to show you my A game
I'm
plan.
saving it.
I'm saving it. Yeah. It was weird. Again, not a lot of downfield passing. You saw Justin Herbert slice and dice this Kansas City defense. But, again, I'm wondering about Kevin Patullo. If he goes into a game, almost like how Mike Tomlin thinks, like if we win close, we just control with our defense, we make some plays, field position, we don't take risks, we take care of the football. And, with the defense they have and the running game they have, that's really not terrible, but for fantasy, it feels frustrating. You did have Saquon Barkley getting a touchdown here. There was this emphasis on AJ Brown. This is kind of like the Devontae Adams item going into the game. AJ Brown involved, and he did have this amazing one-handed catch, but nothing really. Devontae Smith, making a few more plays than last week. Remember, this is the Dallas defense they played last week that Russell Wilson just hung 450 on. So we're wondering, but they don't care. They're 2-0. They don't care. It doesn't matter. And they're facing, again, the Rams next week. So, if they go into Kansas City, they win. It's for fantasy, it's really leaving you limp. But at the same time, for Philly, I feel like this is how you defend the Super Bowl championship. You pace yourself. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
That's true. And we'll keep talking about it. Oh, we got to do KC. What's the matter? Oh, they don't run the ball enough. Although Pat Mahomes had 66 yards and a rushing touchdown, you don't want him to have 66 yards and a rushing touchdown. 1 touchdown, 1 INT, the touchdown to Tyquan Thornton, 2 for 59 and a touch. Travis Kelce leads the way with 4 for 61. Hollywood Browns are number 1, 5 for 30. All right. I don't think all of this is fixed by the return of Rashee Rice.
Probably not. I don't know.
Or Xavier Worthy.
Well, yeah, with Worthy, now they're saying, I don't know, torn labrum. I'm not really sure what's going on with Worthy. I'm not sure how impact. Maybe they'll still get Tyreek Hill, although again, this off-field investigation now. But yeah, you just see with Kansas City, and I get it, it's Patrick Mahomes, but that's their offense. It's like watching Wyoming Josh Allen, Cease. It's like just go out there and make plays and
you're going to do everything, right?
Right. I mean, it isn't even like whenever teams started taking away the downfield pass and Patrick Mahomes just had to be like methodical and very disciplined and just take what the defense was giving him. The defense isn't really giving very much. But at the same time, this game could have turned out differently, except Travis Kelce. And yes, Travis Kelce was okay for fantasy. Again, he could have been fine for fantasy, good for fantasy even, except he juggled a ball at the goal line, which Patrick Mahomes threw flawlessly. Led him, you see those touchdowns where if the guy just keeps running and puts his hands out, it's a touchdown. That was kind of one of those to Travis Kelce. He had to extend a little bit and just juggled it right to the rookie Makuba. So a big turning point in a game like that. And just, Travis Kelce, that's a play that it just looks like he's not only is he not going to add plays, now he's going to give plays back to the other team. So maybe, like you said, Cease, maybe when Rice is and whether you're back, there's less of that. But at the same time, you did have a Tyquan Thornton touchdown. Marquise Brown, just 5 for 30, limped off the field at one point. He was fine, I guess. It's Marquise Brown. But yeah, Kansas City should get right. The offense should get right. Not running the ball. And I think, we'll talk about Isaiah Pacheco and shut him down, Cease. But they look like the plan is we don't have to run the ball. And we know how that goes in the NFL. I mean, yeah. So at the same time, it feels like maybe a little bit of a relief because I think the Chiefs are more flawed than the Chiefs teams we've been seeing in recent years. But again, they might not look that flawed against the Giants.
Yeah, and they'll fix everything and they'll be okay because it's Andy Reid and company. And they've been flawed, but the thing is they've overcome it. And so that, gave them confidence that they can overcome it again. Now you've dug a hole and you're 0-2. So we shall see. 2 Monday night games coming up. Of course, our Tuesday live waiver show about 10:30 a.m. Eastern time, approximately. And we'll give you all your waiver tips then. 2 Monday night games. Do you like that or no, Bloom? Because I do not. I do not.
No, it's just...
Give me one Monday night game.
Yeah, I think that, it's alignment. Monday night is supposed to happen at night. So when a Monday night football game happens and the sun is still out, it just doesn't feel right.
It's not Monday night. Yeah. Monday afternoon. Anyway, we'll be there for you, and we want you to just do one thing. Check out footballguys.com. Sign up for our free daily newsletter. It's written by me and Sigmund and Joe Bryant and Bob Harris and Dave Kluge. We give you a lot of information right to your inbox every morning, hot and fresh, because you have a life we don't. It's our Football Guys free daily newsletter, available at footballguys.com. If you like what you see, subscribe to Football Guys. It's the best way to support the channel, and we appreciate you for that. He is Sigmund Bloom. You follow him on all the socials at Sigmund Bloom. I'm at Cecil Lammey saying, thanks for watching, everyone. Stay tuned, and would you please stay frosty?